Welcome back, everyone, to one more episode of 1 Million Minds. How are you doing, Balaji?
Hey Rajni, I'm doing great, man.
Awesome. We have a jam-packed show for everybody today, and really, we've been talking about this for a while about agents and how do we automate, how do we leverage AI for a little bit more automation, right? So that's what I want to start today is talk a little bit more about just the lay of land because you and I are working on a lot of proof of concept as it pertains to agents. And there's a lot of excitement around it. Everywhere I turn, everybody's talking about it. Even uh, our Microsoft CEO had a conversation, and I think both Salesforce guy and Satya went back and forth around is SaaS dead? Is agents the way to go? So all I'm saying is there's a lot of energy around this space, and a lot of people are, kind of positioning their product as the next step in the agent. So I want to take a step back and just give a layout where we are in the LLM space and where agents are in the space, and then talk through some of the use cases and where are some good areas where people are investing money for us to see. Right, that's what I want to cover today. So let's start with just the lay of land. Where are we with the in the AI space? So what we see here again, this is from Cobus Grayling. I have to say, he has some really good content. I've been reading about it nonstop for the last 3 days just to get caught up on all the things about AI agents. So this was a very good, helpful for me layout for where we are. So there are small language models in zone one all the way to zone six. It's not a timeline, it's more a visual representation of different verticals within the AI space, and so that we can understand when we talk about agents, where do they lay, right? So without going too much details, zone two is zone two is where some of the functionality of what an AI can do. For zone four is some of our large language models. Zone five is where some of the actual the AI agents and some of the tools come into
Tooling.
play,
Yeah.
tooling, right? And the last one is where some of the how as a user we interface with these language models, right? It could be through the prompts, or it could be through tools that have a layer on this, so you don't never get to see what's underneath it, but you can work with it from a content generation idea, image generation, video generation. All of them, the users don't really care what's underneath it as long as the product is good. So, do you have any thoughts on this? And is it a good representation? Does it help visually understand the landscape?
Absolutely. I think we this is a very good visual or another way of visualizing how the landscape is evolving, right? I think there's different ways to paint the picture. I think this gives another dimension through or a window through which you can look at it, right? So I think it makes sense, right? In the sense that you have smaller language models and large language models and tooling and what are all the different capabilities at a very high level if I scan it, right? So I can see what it can do and who is involved in this, who's creating these models, and then the tooling. I think the zone six is where a lot of business folks engage. Like it's more like productizing this whole thing, right? So hiding all the technology behind it, but bringing some use cases to create products of value,
Agreed.
and that's where.
I think if you are a startup entrepreneur, right? So that's what you will be is how do I make the zone six useful for my customer as well as make it because they don't really care from zone one to zone five, right? Whatever lies below it, the user doesn't care as long as it solves the problem. So that's one way, right? But I think you and I really are very keen on zone five, which is the tooling part of it, because again, referring back to the conversation Satya had is around AI agents. AI agents, he explained it very well because they have co-pilot, right? But all of us are going to have agents that we're going to interface with. So he was I shouldn't say make fun of it, but he was referring to his own dynamic CRM. So how many people actually log into a CRM every day to see the data? Usually it comes as a report in something else, like a Tableau or somewhere else. But what he was saying is every morning, if he needed something, he has an agent that will go talk to the CRM, go talk to SharePoint, go talk to something else, and bring in the information he needs. So the agent for lack of a better word, is more orchestrating, because what the way you call all CRMs are, it's CRUD, which is create, read, UD, all stands for something.
Update,
So
delete.
what is? Do you know what CRUD?
No,
Update
update,
and delete.
delete.
Yes, those are the CRMs. Those are the databases, and it holds some business logic, right? That is what the whole SaaS CRM is. If that's what it is, it has this place. But as an agent, I don't have to care what CRM I'm talking to, as long as the customer is saying, "Hey, by the way, I need to talk to five new customers today. Can you go into my CRM, look at everything that I've know about the customer? If you have anything in our Salesforce, or sorry, in our SharePoint or email, bring all that back to me." Now you're talking to different systems. You're orchestrating this conversation of bringing data back to me, saying, "Okay, I'm going to talk to Balaji today. I know with the last few conversations, these were the key things we talked about, or these are the things that I found from his LinkedIn Balaji is interested in." Now I can have a very meaningful conversation, right? Instead of you having to do it. So his whole thing is, we're gonna all have agents. There's gonna be thousands of agents, and it's not gonna make SaaS obsolete. But if you are an entrepreneur, if you start thinking about, this is a completely new paradigm architecture. So if you think about pivoting completely from Salesforce, and you have a greenfield and you can use agents to do this, how would you develop systems that he feels is an amazing opportunity in zone 5 or zone 6, whichever way you want to look at it, that for the next decade. So if you are a startup entrepreneur, those are things to consider. Is if you kind of set away, we're not going to use the SaaS model, how would you build from scratch using AI agents? So any thoughts on that?
Right, right, absolutely, Rajni. I think one of the things we have seen evolve in the past 2 years of doing this is that the terminology, right? I think the market seemed to have come to a happy medium with the word agent, right? It used to be bots, it used to be automation, it used to be other variations of names. I think one of the reasons why I think different people have different versions of the agents. I mean, so we'll leave that to a separate discussion. But I think for me, the word agent is synonymous to giving agency, right? And if done right, this probably is going to be very helpful. But the key is agency, right? How are you going to give agency to that agent to do certain things in a very contractual way, right? Like it's a
Mhm.
short-term agency, long-term agent. How are you going to give this permission or what you want to do? The second thing I also think about the key for these when we talk about agents and in many variations is that though the agent can go proactively figure out from your social media if you're a very social person, or if you're a private person, maybe you're a feed it. But I think that's one way of getting information about you, because it has to personalize itself to you, right? It's not like one agent built for all. Each one of these need to carry your preferences and tastes and all kinds of things, right? um, so I think the market itself is moving to a better version of what an agent is, but there's a lot of funny uh, counterparts to what's not an agent, right? If you're able to automate something,
Agree.
okay, so think